is April 9th, and it's around 5:30 in the evening, and it's 81 degrees. I'm in zone 6B, so it's a very hot day for us here. But I want to walk through a few things, show you guys what's growing, and give you a few gardening tips on the way for my new subscribers or those who are new to gardening. Okay, so this is basically my deck, and I have moved out a lot of my seedlings that I've been working on. I'll include a card up into the right corner of the video if you'd like to see how I've started tomato plants and how I've been growing those over the past several months. And so here they are, and pretty much at this stage in the game I am leaving these outdoors day and night. They've been hardened off nicely, and hardening off for the new gardeners out there is just your way of putting your plants outside to get them used to the outdoors, because usually when you're starting your tomatoes and peppers, you've done that inside and they are not used to the outdoor climate. Okay, so I'm pretty much leaving these out. I will have to keep an eye on the weather report every single day because these will not go into my garden until May. So I still have several days that I'll experience frost and freezing temperatures. Even though today we have a very warm day, it's not going to stay that way. So it's my job as a gardener to keep an eye on the weather report every day. Okay, and when I expect frost, in they will go into my house to be protected. Okay, I've transplanted out some green onions. I started those actually in January inside the house, and you'll notice that a lot of the outer leaves have turned white and died and have fallen down to the soil level, and that is perfectly fine. I'll show you here too some Italian parsley, which has done the same thing. I also started these in January inside my house, and so I put these out here in containers because they are fine for the cooler temperatures. Even if I get a mild frost or even down to 32 degrees, maybe a freeze, they'll be fine. I like to see a little bit of this dying off on the outer leaves because this is telling me that the plant has rooted down. So don't be concerned if you transplant something into your garden, into your soil, and you notice the outer leaves are yellowing and dying. That's perfectly fine. As long as you're seeing some nice green growth in the center, this is a very healthy sign. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, so I'm gonna head down here to the garden and show you guys what's growing down there. Okay, so it's around 6 in the evening now, and I just want to walk you through the garden here. I have 3 square-foot garden beds right here, and for those of you who are new to my channel, I don't have a grid on top of my square-foot garden beds, and that's because I've been doing this method of garden for quite some time, so I'm pretty familiar with how many plants you put per square foot. Okay, so I can kind of eyeball it, but for those of you who are new, or maybe you don't have the time to make a grid, something that I found that's nice to do, and I actually still use it sometimes too, is I'll use either a wooden skewer, you know, like you use for cooking, or you can use a paint stick. Both of these are 12 inches long, and so when you are planting something, you can say, come out here 12 inches with one of them, and then your other 12 inches will be this way, and that way you can space out your plantings accordingly to whichever plant it is, you know, like 16 carrots per square foot or 4 lettuce per square foot. You can refer to your book for your plant spacing. Okay, and so I just want to show you some of my spring plants here. I have the sugar snap peas, and they are telling me right now that they need to have a trellis. Okay, they're starting to grab onto each other. The little tendrils are grabbing on. So what I'm going to do is I'll put a trellis over here tonight for these, because we're going to expect rain this evening as well, and this is the time of the year that once the temperatures have started to warm up and we're getting rain almost every day, these are going to just take off. Okay, as long as nothing eats them. And the reason why I say that is because I have a little rabbit visiting the garden, and I haven't seen him, but he's destroying some of my plants. So he's been hopping through here. As a matter of fact, you can see a little footprint over there. He's crushed some of my carrot seedlings, and then of course some of my spinach over there has also been crushed. I don't know if you can see the little footprints over there. This is to be expected. I always plant more than I want to harvest, a lot more, because other things want to eat what I plant too. Now some of these I transplanted. I bought some of these at a nursery, so I think I have some cauliflower in here, some radicchio, some Napa cabbage. here, which is has a problem there, so I'm going to have to address that issue. But most of everything else I've planted by seed. It is always so easy to just plant things by seed. I always encourage you to just throw some seeds right before a really good rain. So keep an eye on the weather report this time of year. The weather report is your friend. It may make your life as a gardener much easier. So I have some cilantro over here that's come up because I direct sowed the seed right into the soil. I have some rapini, okay. Whatever's bothering the Napa cabbage also has a taste for rapini, so I'll get over here and address that issue this evening as well. Alright, so let's take a look at this bed over here. Again, I just showed you that I had some of the spinach that was coming up, and that's Teton spinach. It's a very good spinach. I have been very impressed with the results of this, so if you want to grow spinach, if you've had a hard time growing it before, give this one a try. I've tried a lot of different spinaches and I'm real impressed with this one. Have some chives there. Wonderful little herb in the spring. Love to grow chives. All of mine I've grown from seed. This plant here is 3 years old. Of course, you can usually find those as a transplant at your nursery as well. Alright, and then I have some garlic down here. That was from the spring planting. So I have some garlic in my garden that I planted last fall in 2014, and it's up as well, and it's actually looking just as good, if not better, than what I planted in the fall. So my fall planting and my spring planting of garlic are almost equal. Alright, okay, over here is some echinacea, and this will be its 3rd year's growth, and I'll include a link to that video if you want to see how you can grow echinacea as well. Alright, over here we have several little different things growing. I have some more garlic over here. This is a hardneck garlic. That's all I'm growing this year, what are called hardneck garlics. With a hardneck garlic you can get garlic scapes that you can use for cooking. With a soft neck garlic you will not get a scape. Okay? And we have anise hyssop right here. Really pretty little plant in the garden. A lot of strawberries. This was the first plant right here that my son actually planted 2 years ago, and it has just sent off little runners everywhere. And I've been actually digging these up and putting them in another garden. So I'm hoping I might even get some strawberries this year. Look at there. I already have some little blooms, so that'll be great. We love strawberries. Okay, this bed over here, more sugar snap peas that are up. And this little cabbage here looks much healthier and better than the other one I showed you a little while ago, and it's not having the same problem. Alright, just some radicchio here. French tarragon popping up there. I was so happy to see that. I just didn't know how it would do in a raised bed. Sometimes raised beds get a little bit too cold or they'll get too hot. It seems like it did real well overwintering in this garden bed here. Okay, and then just a couple other things over there. I've direct sowed some things that don't look to be up yet, but they're working their way up. Okay, so right over here are some gray shallots, and these look like they're doing much better. For my regular subscribers, last year you know that I planted some of these, and they did okay, but I had planted most of them in a raised bed, and it got too hot in my raised bed and they didn't do well. And the ones I had planted just a few in the ground, and they did great. So all of my gray shallots went in the ground this year, right here in the ground. Now we're expecting some rain this evening, so what I want to do is just go ahead and give them a good side dressing of compost. This will be my second feeding of compost since they've popped up out of the ground. I think around in February is when I started to feed them. Okay, and I'll go through the garden and give a lot of my plants a side dressing of compost this evening. And I know I've already said this 2 times, but the weather report is your friend if you are a gardener. For instance, this weekend we are going to have a beautiful weekend. There's not going to be rain. It's going to be sunny and perfect temperatures. And typically we would say as a gardener, oh, I'm going to get out in the yard and get some gardening done. But the truth of the matter is you should be out getting a lot of your work done right before it rains, because you can side dress your vegetables and get those fed very nicely, and they will be watered in with the rain, which is wonderful for our plants. Try to get out and feed your plants and get some seeds in the ground before a really good rain, because your seeds are going to like some heat and some natural rainfall. I'm going to go ahead and finish doing these, and I'll show you the rest of the garden. I have some echinacea here that I divided, and it's doing great. I'm going to go ahead and feed it a little bit more here. Now you'll notice here I have some cilantro popping up. This was from last year. It reseeded in my garden, and I don't till my soil, so all of these things such as cilantro and dill, which are two wonderful things that I love to cook with, here's some dill, they're coming up already. Okay, so I'm going to feed them a little bit here too. This is what your cilantro will look like when it starts to come up, and this is what your dill will look like. These are two excellent herbs to direct sow into your soil. They do not transplant well. So if you want to grow those, get you some seed and go out, put it in the ground. Water it in good, or let the rain do its magic. Alright, go put it in the ground right before a really good rain and give it some good soil. Plant it in some good soil. There's just some more onions. I'll go ahead and feed these as well. Okay, there we go. Okay, over here just have some mint, and then back over there I have some potatoes. They are just starting to pop up, which is great. Love to see that. Right over here are yellow moon shallots, so I'm going to side dress those too. And then here are my gray shallots. And all of this white stuff you see on my soil, well, that's from that tree right there. It has just lost all of its little blossoms, and now it's filling in. And this is my son's garden bed. However, I have kind of taken over it for a little while until he wants to plant some corn later this summer. So I'm going to use it until he's ready for it. So right here I'm going to go ahead and put in some compost around the cilantro. This was actually reseeded in the garden naturally right over there, and then what I did is I just dug it up and then I put it over here. Okay, and then I have some other herbs that are coming up. I have some more cilantro over there, and we had a rabbit come through here as well. As you can see, there's a lot of indentations here in the garden, so I had a lot of seedlings that were ruined. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Hopefully I'll have some stuff pop up here soon, just like I have had the cilantro. Okay, and then over here is going to be mostly garlic. Lots of garlic over here, looking really good. And then I have some Greek oregano. That's oregano that is wonderful for growing. Love, love, love Greek oregano. And then garlic chives. These will stay with you forever if you plant some. I grew these from seeds. So garlic chives are great thing to grow. Okay, so there you have it. I hope all you out there are having a great time getting your garden started and having some fun digging. Thanks so much for watching, and have a beautiful day.